So the two bigger components of global order, which is US dollar and the oil, both are slipping away the control of US hand. So that's why the global order, current global order, are expiring, and the new global order is getting into the arena. Well, global order means the trade and the world are functioning the way the bigger economies wanted to have. So in that way, bigger economy have to make sure that they have a currency which is every economy can rely on, and they have a major product of the economy acceleration, which is oil, the energy. And then you have to make sure that all the trade routes are like, ships routes and air routes are safely passageable. Then you need to have a technology which can enable the economy to grow and thrive. But this war against Iran and exposed the weakness of USA, because there's another factor that apart from the dollar, apart from the oil, apart from the trade routes, apart from the technology, and to make sure these things, you need to have a bigger military so that everybody will listen to you. So that this is the product that global order guarantor, which is USA has. So otherwise, USA don't sell anything. The military and the US dollar. This is the two thing they are steer the global order. But the war against Iran exposed the military weakness of USA, which already assumed by many nations, but there is no recent recent proof for that. But this war with Iran exposed that weakness, and then other countries, like emerging countries, China, India, other BRIC countries, for example, Brazil, Russia, South Africa. These are the countries, and other smaller countries around the world. Recent years had a problem with the inconsistent decision from the USA authorities, where the dollars goes up, which is hurting their economies. So they are, last 5 years especially, they are working very intense to replace the dollar and try to trade within their own currency. Even BRICS countries, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, try to create their own currency, but it didn't come into the place. But what they did, they agreed to trade within their own currencies instead of they are using the dollar as a purchasing currency. So now the exposure, the US military weakness exposure, and the same time the dollar, the intimidation Trump did for these countries, made these countries to work towards go away from the dollars. So that's why if you see it India, for example, now they are aggressively they are talking with other countries, smaller countries, whoever they can, even with African countries. Russia, they are buying all the oils from Russia with the Indian rupees, and in neighbor countries they are trying to trade with. They are willing to accept the neighbor countries' currencies, and also the neighbor country asking neighbor countries to accept their currency. That's what last week in Sri Lanka, India had a conference rupees to rupees, where the Indian rupees and Sri Lankan rupees will be the exchange in the trade instead of dollar. So if imagine if all the countries are slowly, gradually reduce the usage of dollar, then the second pillar of the global order is doesn't relevant now. For example, in the last video I have explained that why oil is not dependent on one region anymore. How these regional players and oil alternative power generation are being considered very seriously, and they are actually materializing that, like India through the ethanol blending with the oil, 85% of the ethanol, which is their biofuel, and also the solar and the wind farm. These are the things. Also, they have a great reserve than any other countries, almost up to 9 months. Usually, up to 4 months, 5 months of reserve is enough. That's what they say. But India is increasing their reserve up to 9 months. Whether they can receive survive without any new supply of oil. If they start to implement that new type of fuel, which is ethanol, 85% of ethanol, and then they can hold that reserve up to more than 1 year, 1.5 years. So usually any global disturbance, supply chain disturbance will not last long for more than 1.5 year, 1 year or 1.5 year. Also Africa, as I said, Africa, they are trying to solve their energy needs within their country, where the Nigeria is a major oil producer, Angola is there, and they are trying to build a second refinery in East Africa. In Europe, they are mostly rely on before they were mostly rely on Russia, but now in Norway. And South American countries like Guyana and Venezuela also start to supply oil to the North American countries like America, USA, and Canada. Canada has their own oil, and so now the thing is, oil don't need to go continent to continent. Each continent, they have their own solution. So here we don't need any guardians to move this major component of the global order, which is the oil. And if there is no oil trade continent to continent, there is no dependency on the dollar also. And even there the dependency, then they are going to trade in their own currency. So now the UK military is exports. So now just technology is left. So that's why this AI technology, US is really pressuring to take a lead in the AI technology. That's why when China wants to buy the semiconductor making machine from the Netherlands, US blocked them, because if the China started to take the lead on the AI technology, then almost is power is balanced. Global trade routes are not depends on the sea traditional sea routes anymore, because uh, Silk Way, which is the China, the oldest China's trade routes towards Europe, they have invested. China have invested a lot. That's come into the operation partly. So now every 2 weeks there's a one train coming to China to Germany. So it's not one solution anymore, dependency anymore. So the global order is slipping away from the USA hand, but this time USA itself accelerated that. Make other countries to united against the US because of this recent incidents of putting the tariff every day one tariff, and especially say the things towards the country's leaders personally, especially as I following the local news of Indian newspaper when USA foreign secretary says something, oh, now we are allowing you to buy the oil from Russia, then people are like furious. So who are you to allow us to buy from Russia, something like that. So each countries are getting intimidation personally. Countries leaders, decision makers, bureaucrats are get intimidated, and they are accelerating their policy decisions. Before they were doing in a way that they want to keep the USA, they want to keep in a face that okay, we are the good people for you, we are the friend with you. So now they wanted to take the open position. So the things are changing very rapidly. So only card now USA has this AL lead. So that's why this Anthropic Cloud new version Babel, which supposed to be available for all the countries, all the world, but USA stopped that because they think that if US allow that advanced technology openly accessible to all the world, then there is nothing left to play with. So what US have to do, the diplomats, normal diplomats way. That's what all the president did, because in the new world, it's not like you can threaten the country and you can ask them to do what you like to do, especially the countries which is very far away from USA, Asian countries. So also there, some countries is culture of the countries are differ. Like some people take a word very seriously, or they feel intimidated and they will act very very courageously on that. So that's why I thought it will take around 2040, 2050 to see the global order not in the hand of USA anymore, but the recent incidents, the tariff and the Trump talks towards the country's leaders, and especially the Iran war and the deal afterward, it's giving the message to the people who are intimidated by Trump. So you can do your things now. It's like the global guarantor is not in, the boss is not the boss he used to be. So if you think in that way, most of my viewers are more than 60 years, as I see from the Google statistics. So If you feel anything on that, I love to hear your comments.